And then when you get to marketing, I'm assuming, I mean, you're working 3 jobs, you're doing some marketing. It's not just straight to the library. When do you decide that a library, that's like marketing with books involved, is the most brilliant day job you could possibly have as an author, right?
Oh, it is. It is. And that's why I did that, because they had a part-time opening. And I was like, okay, it's a part-time opening. They have no real plan to make it a full-time job. But maybe if I do what I know I could do there, they'll see that it really should be a full-time job. And so that's when I quit journalism and started at the library, and then did 5 full-time freelance like jobs. Um, and then they got a new director. The director retired, and the new director was like, oh yeah, you definitely need to be full-time. You know, we've got a ton of stuff to get done. We've got grants to write. We've got this. And I'm like, thank you. I've been saying that. But I guess the other administration just didn't see the benefit of marketing libraries. They thought, well, people will come. I'm like, you know, because I mean, now libraries have to compete with Amazon. They have to compete with Google. They have to compete with people just being able to get anything on the internet, their TV, their phone. And you know, you have to really get out there and sell yourself and get your messages out there, because people have no idea all that libraries offer anymore. They just keep thinking libraries are like a warehouse for books, and it's so not. And so there's so much I could. It's always a matter of, okay, which priority do I have right now? Which priorities do I have on my plate? Because I could go off on a billion tangents and market all kinds of things at the library. You know, there's digital services, there's experience kits, we have a butterfly garden. I mean, there's so much. And so yeah, I made that leap, and then I just stuck with it until they realized they needed a full-time person. And if they didn't, I was okay with that. I was like, you know what? I still get to, you know, scratch that itch, because that's a dream job. I mean, I'm a writer and I'm an author, and I get to work at a library. Okay. And you pay me. Oh, excellent. You know, so it's like a dream job. And so I thought, even if I don't go full time, I can earn a living, and then I'll get published. I'll keep going. I mean, I've worked since I was 13, so I'm not afraid to work. So it's like, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
See, that's the kind of attitude that eventually gets somebody a debut novel blowing up. that's that kind of persistence and work ethic that it's been I know it's been I feel like, and I could be telling tales out of school, and we're going to circle back and we're going to talk more about library marketing and the types of things and how that translates to book marketing, because I know a esteemed audience wants to know that. But I also know that you've got people listening that work very hard on Starfish and wondering, when are we going to mention Starfish, available March 9th wide? So we definitely should start to transition that way. But I feel like I was reading drafts of that 10 years ago, called something else, or at least portions of it. Or am I wrong on that? When did you start Starfish?
You probably saw some early thoughts on it more than you saw drafts, because I never knew what I wanted to be in my first book. And so I had the book called Not All of Me, which is totally different title now, if it ever comes out. It's totally different. And then I had actually I had a middle grade historical fiction book. And so you guys kept seeing bits and pieces of all this stuff. I was just trying to figure out, which one do I want to do?
I should point out for folks that haven't sat with us at a restaurant for hours at a time when we spin off on long tangents, we're in a writers group, and hopefully we'll be again when the pandemic finally goes away, called the Young Adult Cannibals. with several fine writers, including previous guest Laura Martin. And yeah, I think that's all we need to say.
Yeah, so we were part of a critique group. And so yeah, so you probably did, but I didn't really start working on it. Like I finally committed to myself, I think, more than anything, and said, you know what? This has to be my first book, because if I only get one book published in my whole life, this is the story I want to tell. This is my heart. This is my soul. And so I thought, that's the one you lead with. You know, I mean, the one that you think about all the time, the one that you dream about, the one that just resonates with you, not only as a person and as an author, you know, as a person and an author, but it's like, so I decided that's the one to lead with. And it was so personal, the story. That's why I was afraid to go with it first. It's not, I mean, there are other stories, obviously, that I love just as much, but this had a very personal connection to me because, you know, everything that happened to Ellie didn't happen to me, but a version of everything that happened to Ellie happened to me. And it's very personal. And so I finally thought, you know, it's one thing to share that kind of stuff around a table in critique group. It's another for thousands or whatever to read it, you know, and then give their opinions on it, you know what I mean? And even though you guys you didn't hold back, you know, that's our group was known for making each other cry during critique time. It was like, okay, literally, we would make each other cry. People might think we're exaggerating, but we did, because we were honest with each other. We were like,
hey, I don't want credit. I always cried later when you people left and I was alone. I kept my tears very private.
But you always confessed that you cried. So
I did. That's true.
But because and I think that was good too, because you don't want anyone telling you, hey, this is great, when it's not. You know, you don't want that. That's not going to help you. And, but, you know, it's one thing for, you know, 6 or 7 or 8 or how many of us there were at the different times to get their input and their feedback and their opinion, even if it was harsh. It was another to throw that out in front of the whole world. And so I think that's what made me so hesitant to really commit to it. But once I committed to it, it took me probably a solid 1.5 years of writing.